Hey, how we doing out there? Yeah, it's me. Da-do-do-do. Okay, yeah. See, this tape is one of more of those things where you've got to watch the distance of the microphone, and then you got to watch the volume of your voice. And okay, here we go. It's a beautiful July tape, and we are sitting here in a different location, looking out at a breathtaking view. Got a bird out there just sort of soaring and catching the wind and just floating, moving along with the currents. As we get ready for today's lesson, it's a July lesson. I notice a peace and calm that is sitting out there. I was figuring, well, it's a July tape. I'll do something fresh, something exciting, something explosive. And as I start this tape, what I'm aware of is that I've just finished doing a lot of meditation, and I'm just kind of hanging out and watching the day get started here. And it is truly beautiful to watch the magnificence of God as it wakes up in the morning and things become alive and life begins to stir and movement begins to happen. And a whole different form of aspect of life begins to take place. I notice we, like a lot of the creatures, begin to stir and begin to move, begin to come about, putting the day together and reaching out to see what there is for us. And I know that in this stillness, it's nice to think of God and remember God. And so it's nice for me to start the tape off with God, my most favorite thing. I've got a huge smile, and yet it comes and goes into a medium-sized smile. Because there's really nothing I'm thinking about. It's more along the lines of just being in a state. It's not that there's nothing funny or anything in that form. The smile is just an expression of joy. Kind of an opening of the heart and a sitting back kind of with a, yeah, this is it. This is what it's all about. And so I enjoy coming to you in this space. It's a loving space. It's also bringing us up with all of the tapes. You would have probably received 3 of them in this pack. This one for July, which is totally apropos. The one in May, which was like bingo, perfect. I mean, that tape alone was unique because of all of the unique times the universe, had me do different things to make that one complete itself. And to let go of pictures of sitting on top of the mountain and do this and do that and make sure it goes this way and make sure it goes that way. And just, break free out into the change. And the September tape, because it was in the moment, and the July tape, which is now, because it feels like right here and right now. And so you've got those 3 tapes to complete and bring us up to date and stepping into consciousness. And it's been a joy because doing these tapes, these 3 tapes just flowed, and it was just nice. So the material was good, it was fresh, it was in the moment, it was a conglomerate of a lot of time, and yet I only had 3 days to put these together. So, and yet I noticed the universe had it flowing for me. And so it brings us all up onto date, onto course, into the present moment. That was important for me, although I know we all hung out there in the present moment while the tapes slowly came along. I noticed the flow in the universe is always there. If we have a multidimensional self, we must begin to understand time as a multidimensional quality. This multidimensional quality has different pictures and feelings and knowingnesses for each one of our multidimensional selves. The old qualification and perhaps one singular picture with a few out branches of what time represents has to be refined. So let's talk about that as we go along and see what July has for us. The understanding of time is unique because it is also like an onion. It is like our life also. For all of the states of consciousness that we have that unfold layer by layer, so does the aspect and the understanding of time unfold for us layer by layer. And we must be able to open up within ourselves the understanding of this quality of time in its multidimensional levels. We have a flow which is the universe's, and as a personality, I'm aware of it, and I am also aware of the fact that it doesn't always necessarily fit in with the pictures that I have set for myself or the goals that I have set for myself. I'm also aware of the fact that goals in part of this multidimensional level of time, goals are also important for a certain aspect of the evolution of time and you in it. I also notice that sometimes when there is that fulfillment, should we say, in timing that the universe gives us, but not that fulfillment in something that we have worked for, following a picture or perhaps an expectation of a goal that may or may not be achieved. I notice that time kind of falls into both of those categories, and by falling into both of those categories, we begin to go, well, geez, I don't quite understand this, and we just kind of brush over it. And so let's look at it in depth, because you've got tapes on your multidimensional self, so let's go into aspects of time in this understanding. There is a part of us in linear mind, and it works this way, that if we set goals and we can set achievements, then we can qualify matter. And by qualifying the matter, we can get things by directing sound, intent, affirmations, written things. We can put qualities within things that will attract to us those qualities. Sometimes these qualities will come to us before we think the goal is to be achieved or after we thought the goal should have been achieved. We obviously see the ones that do not come in the time limit that we expect, because then we have a tendency to fall into a negative pattern as to, well, it didn't work. When we receive, because of the universal timing, that which we are seeking before we actually have met the time limit, we don't notice that, oh wow, check it out, I got it sooner than I thought. We just see that as, oh, well, we had that coming, or God did that for us. We don't necessarily see it in the same aspect of the positive side, like, oh yeah, we got it earlier. Like if it didn't show up on time, we go, oh yeah, we're not worthy, it didn't come along at the right time. And what happens is we qualify ourselves and throw ourselves into blame for the whole thing when it was only no right or wrong in the first place, and we just started to qualify things that looked like weren't following our timing, when the timing that we had set and the timing that the universe has set for us are two different things. Both have the look and the qualities of a giant picture that we have in time and for time and about time. But you have to understand how time and you work. Our expectations that we place on time and create pictures as to how it should turn out is not necessarily the same thing as a goal. A goal is something we want to achieve, perhaps without a time limit. And yet we still have something to direct ourselves towards, so that we as a personality feel a completion, which is another understanding of time, so that we have a feeling of completion, if that is what we feel we need to orient ourselves in a goal. Now, if time is eternal, then completing something is something that will never be accomplished, because once it is completed, it can go into other modes and expressions. And so the goal should be open-ended, so that an aspect is never completed, but different concepts that we were working towards can be completed for the fulfillment of the personality, and still keep time open-ended, and whatever it was that was completed, so it can go on into another phase. By keeping your contracts open-ended in a conscious state, by using time in your multidimensional levels, you will always have the freedom to feel as a being with no restrictions to yourself in any of the goals or concepts or ideas that you put forth within yourself. And yet sometimes, because we have time listed under all of these qualifications, we blame ourselves because it didn't get completed in the picture that we had. Then when you look at the picture you have to open yourself up. Now, sometimes we can't find what it is that we're looking for, because we can't see what it is that we're creating that is hanging us up. And sometimes it is just a simple understanding of time. Now, in this understanding of time, we also have evolution, which is a cellular process. And sometimes we look at ourselves and kick ourselves and say, why can't we be getting this faster, when the evolution of the cell itself only lets you progress at the rate you are capable of perceiving it. As you advance yourself into divinity, naturally, your cellular structure then is allowed by your own awareness to advance in such a ways, because then your mind, your capacity to understand, your awareness to bring the divine and physical together, which is a bridging of eternity and time together, and a qualification that helps you understand. By bringing the divine into the evolution, and then by being capable of understanding from all of the different levels, you then have the capacity, obviously, to accelerate the physical structure, which then brings to you those things which we think we need or we think we want. However, by the time you have put the divine aspects together in the timing that you truly require, you will notice that the universe had a different timing than when you were originally saying, when am I going to ever get this? Gee, haven't I worked long enough on these things? When you're making statements like that, your physical timing isn't quite in tune with the divine. You're judging yourself, which means you've came out of present moment anyhow. Present moment. Look at present moment as like a 5-minute and less thing, rather than this split-second thing that you're trying to achieve within inside of yourself. Begin to bring it in from a 5-minute point of view, then a 4-minute point of view, then a 3-minute point of view. Don't be hard on yourself. Bring it into a moment, into a minute, and into less than a minute, into the seconds. Relax on bringing it into the split second. It takes time to work on the ideas, to work on the concepts, to keep these things working inside of you. Relax on yourself. Then you won't find yourself judging. If you don't find yourself judging, you will find yourself understanding time in the multidimensional self. When you can understand time in the multidimensional self, you will find that there is no blame because you have more of a grasp as how it can be. The timing can be working in one way for you and holding you up in another way for you and still giving you what you need in another way for you. You've heard me use that example in workshops before, but did you ever really hear what it was that I was saying when I've used that? It's sort of like, okay, here we go. On the divine plane, there is a divine will that you are working to flow with, and everything is in perfect timing. That includes the completion of pictures that all of a sudden come to you and you go, oh wow, I got it, I see how this all worked. And only in that moment would you have known how to understand that piece in that way. That's one flow. However, while that is happening in the moment, you have another part of you in the moment that is happening that is saying all of a sudden, I expected my picture to be completed at this moment in time. I am in the moment in time, and yet my picture is not complete. Okay, all of a sudden you have a contradiction in yourself, and yet not. It is just another part of your multidimensional self that is working with another perspective of time. A time limit that within its perspective said, hey, you're going to get this anyhow, but because you had a judgment and a limiting aspect to when you thought this picture could be created, now what is not working for you is the picture of the timing. Of course, the timing isn't going to work per se because it may not have been capable of working with the universe's timing. Now, in that same moment, because it's all in the present moment, had you not made a judgment, then the picture that you didn't get, you wouldn't have cared because you didn't have an attachment to it. You would have saw that the picture that you did have was an attachment to a concept that you didn't really need in the time, and because you didn't judge it, therefore, because the picture or the essence didn't arrive the way you thought that it should, you didn't care because in the moment you weren't taking that personally. And by not taking it personally, you were still able to see how it was going to work farther down the line for you. If you didn't take it personally, you can also see how the judgment was used to get you to a certain place in time. And then you can easily see how the timing did again work in that other level, the level of an example. Because this example that you have just now perceived without making a judgment on it has allowed you to eliminate that concept and a picture of judgments that was hanging you up from being within the flow of the divine. If you did take it personally, and you did make a judgment on it, and you were still trying to figure out how that worked, you could still stay within a few moments of the same moment where all of these times go. But sometimes you will find that you have judged yourself and you are seeing it from a negative point of view. The rest of you, however, is staying in the present moment. It is just one aspect of you that is now taking it personally because something didn't physically manifest for you. You as a personality, and from that level, need to delve deeper into the understanding of that quality of time to find out why you didn't get it, so that you can understand how the picture worked. Now, time will slow down for you if you stay close to the present moment, so that you can delve into that and still be conscious of the rest of the world as it rolls along for you. You still holding on to that example, but yet still letting other inputs come into your existence and out of your existence, and still working along with that particular time and material. While you, as a personality, decide to go into the archives and into the future archives and see what it is that you need to learn from this particular lesson. But it does not hold you up in time from just whizzing through other lessons as they come through you, and you work in time with these qualities. Time is a unique aspect. The more you become aware of its multidimensional levels, the more you will find you do not have to blame yourself. Now, let's just say that you start blaming yourself because all of a sudden you didn't see all the different levels of time. Now, we're going to that part in the moment where you decide to You did take it personally. The rest of the world is still functioning for you, but you now have bought into a concept, and you have come out of time, you have come out of present moment for certain aspects of your reality because you didn't get something that you wanted. Now, while you are in that moment of time, time even subdivides in there. See, the first section of time is you're still in the flow with other things, and things are coming and going. So you haven't really influenced your flow of the divine at all. The things that you have, in retrospect to whatever it is that you have created, is still moving along and coming through you and around you and over you. Okay, that flow is still happening. That quality of time is still happening. The rewards you have coming in karma, the setbacks that you have coming in karma, are still coming to you in every moment while you are hanging on to this one picture. You can let go of other pictures, and you do, and you can see how you grow in these other worlds, and you can see how the time is out there, but you're still hanging on to this one picture for whatever reason. You're still learning to grow in this one picture while you're still working with the flow and other things. However, because the picture you are working on and several other different aspects of who you are as a personality are all reflected in this one aspect, the pictures of time that you have in this lesson, built on other parts of your personality and aspect, will also begin to reflect themselves in front of you. And different parts of you will see how you have gotten stuck on this particular thing in different parts of your life. Now, if you go into heavy blame, you can really slow time down in this department. And what happens is then you go into guilt and trauma. Well, maybe these are the things that you're working on and learning. The key is, because you are going into guilt and trauma, and you are slowing down time in this part of your life to punish yourself, it does not mean the time is slowed down in other parts of yourself. People are still coming up to you and smiling and giving you love, regardless how you're struggling with a particular issue inside of you. You'll notice that people are also coming up and giving you garf, which is definitely showing you that other forms of timing are still manifesting in your reality. As you begin to see yourself as a multidimensional person, you will see that sometimes we begin to take just a small part of ourselves, and because for some unknown reason we blame ourselves and try to throw this blame into the entire part of the picture, we as the personality then blind ourselves to everything else that is happening in time, therefore stopping our input of knowledge, because we truly believe that this picture that we have created because we are just screwed up for the umpteenth time is real, and that we've blown it all over the place and all the way across the boards, when this is not real. It is not a realistic picture. It is really not who you are. You need to know not to jump into blame and not to get into that aspect just because one part of you has decided to be this thing, this who knows what, that starts to weaken and lets the universe think that it can let everything run over the top of it. As you begin to suck in the negative aspects and the negative disbelief, the universe is still giving all the love to you, but you cannot see it. And so even though you're in the same flow of time, you have now blocked time, as you can see it with your personality, totally out. You're not aware that that part of you is alive anymore, because you can't see it through the dense vibration that we've created through a negative aspect within inside of ourselves. All we can see is what we're willing to see through this curtain, this veil, this restriction of woe is me. It's these things that we need to let go of. You don't need to blame yourself for anything. You need to snap out of attitudes like that. You have just forgotten that you are God, that's all. And you can get a grip on that. It isn't that hard to get a handle on that kind of stuff. That's why we have present moment. See, within present moment, we can reflect all the different magnitudes of time. All of the different aspects that time represents for all of the many points of view that we have within our totality. It's easy to see how you can forget about God when we get into blame. And we get into believing that the physical plane is real. Because we forget about God even when we're having a great time. Just because we're in the pits, we forget about God. Sometimes we're having a great time, we forget about God. Because we get blinded by the good time and are so busy patting our personalities that we forget that the good time is we're blocking out God because we're too busy enjoying ourselves on a physical plane, thinking that this is our reward for working hard. When we're just as far away from God in our timing concept, but because it feels better, we don't really notice it. I'd like to point out that the illusion of God is very subtle on the physical plane. My part as the teacher here is to give you all the perspectives of all of the things that are available to you, and to open up your understanding of time and how that works. How that works for you. And now it is starting to get time to get to the end of the tape. Now, look at what your body just did. I said, it's time to get to the end of the tape. You shifted consciousness. You changed timing. You shifted from one state of awareness into another state of awareness where timing changes for you. You are now on a different form of timing. Can you all feel that? You should have physically felt that change in time in your body. That was a perfect example of the different understanding of timing and time. Did you feel your body shifted? Did you feel your consciousness shifted? Did you feel your awareness shifted as I hustle and get done with the tape? Oh wow, now you can feel it more because we've only got a few seconds to get this handled. Wow, can you feel your body shift? Then timing can be felt and experienced on other bodies. It can be perceived from more than just the intellect. All right. See you on the other side.